Recently, I sat down with Omar Latif, CEO at ElementalTV at CES. Here's our conversation.
So let's just maybe start with the origin story. This is a space, CTV ad tech, that has blown up in recent years. Obviously, there's a huge amount of interest and attention. So what's ElementalTV, and what's maybe the opening you saw here in this particular?
Sure. Thanks a lot. So we have been around since late 2019, 2020. Elemental was founded around that time with the premise of solving needs of monetization as far as CTV publishers are concerned. A little bit of background on that. I've been a serial entrepreneur since 2009, and this is my fifth startup since then. And over the course, I've always been in ad tech, MarTech over the course of the last 15 years or so, and have observed the trajectory of where advertising is going. And we saw video in 2017, 2018 being a very big part of online advertising, and then CTV becoming even a bigger part as we're witnessing right now.
That's right, not to interrupt you, but it might have been hard to see that at that time because so much streaming was about to take off, but it wasn't a huge ad business yet. But you saw there was going to be a need for it.
Yeah, so we saw a few things in consumer behavior. One, video was being consumed at a rate, given that what we saw and observed at YouTube, how fast it was growing.
Yep.
And then you also observed that the traditional media companies were under a lot of pressure to distribute content to where the consumer was, which was these digital devices. And the OEMs, which are the manufacturers of these televisions, essentially were trying to become smart media companies, right? So if you think about a convergence of all those three things, you have to go where the audience is. And audiences are moving towards these smarter screens away from the set-top box. And essentially, we're looking for choice. And choice that was free for some part, had some element of subscription to it. So, and we were actually in the video business before that. And we observed that a lot of our budgets were moving towards interactive video, rich video, and buyers are very focused on affiliating with content that is high quality, right? So obviously YouTube pioneered the path for user-generated content, right? It became a distribution channel for that. But then when you talk about premium video content, it's TV, right? It's movies. And there's obviously the subscription-based model, but then there's the ad-supported model. So TV has always existed and has always attracted brands. And it was just a matter of time that users are just moving over to a more digital path.
Now, you might have thought, well, we're not lacking for big ad tech players, and so many of the big SSPs and monetization engines for display, we're moving over to, and from web video, we're moving over to CTV. What was the opening in you saw? What was the missing piece that maybe was not served the market?
So there's a little pause we took in between where we were actually a content distributor and an app developer ourselves. We felt that we can build CTV applications for smart televisions for content owners, give the apps for free, but instead monetize it for them and make a revenue share off of that. Very quickly, we realized that we were basically a very small fish in a very big pond with very overcapitalized distribution platforms. And very quickly, we pivoted from, okay, we've identified a need in the market. There will be a point in time where there are issues that are associated with monetization. And I think we can probably build a set of solutions that we can offer CTV publishers who will eventually build either apps themselves or distribute content. And as it went from VOD to FAST, of course. And we felt that the learnings that we had and I would say the failures that we experienced in our app development business, we basically said, well, let's make a product out of it. And that's what basically ElementalTV is what it is today.
Right. And at that point, there was so much attention, and all of a sudden the streaming wars were coming, right?
Yes.
The titans are going after each other and spending like crazy.
Correct.
And it wasn't clear what was going to happen, whether there was going to be the average consumer would have 1 million CTV apps, a small number. I think that there's hope that there's a long tail in this medium. And is that an opening you saw? And is that bigger than maybe people realize it's out there?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think when content acquisition costs continue to go up, but the consumer wants free options, those things can't coexist at the same time. So people will go to places where they can consume content at the the best content at the cheapest price possible. And obviously there's there's free ad supported television. So I think there'll always be this healthy tension between that. Something has to give up, right? So as the consumer becomes more price conscious, as we go through different economic cycles, you will continue to see an evolution of value of content, and content will basically find its path either in the form of long form or short form in different places. And I think I continue to believe that there's a place for a healthy mid-tail set of publishers, right? Because I think fragmentation to some extent is good, but at the end of the day, I think you don't want to deal with 25 different applications to consume 2 hours worth of content in total across all those 25 applications. So,
and now here's my conversation with Shafi Mustafa, Chief Strategy Officer at ElementalTV.
Yeah, as we look at the evolution of this space, right? The first inning was really just, can we get those pipes connected? Can we get some dollars transacting? But now, as these publishers are looking for, how do I maximize my monetization potential so that I can keep fueling great content production? How do I deliver to my audiences what I'm looking for? And that's where this need really starts to stand out. They're looking for optimization. They're not just satisfied with just outsourcing every element of their monetization. A lot of them want to control their own destiny now.
And what about, I imagine a lot of, I know we're speaking pretty broadly, but some of these players probably have great audiences, but they don't have the scale of a Netflix or a Paramount Plus or whatever. Is that, how do you help them with that challenge? Is that something that this product can address, or your company?
Yeah, for sure. So when we look at, when you mention like a Netflix, a Disney, we're talking about walled gardens, and there's a lot of value in a walled garden in the fact that as an advertiser, you're getting some standardization, and then you're being able to get a level of scale, right? And so we needed to be able to provide that same level of being able to compete against a walled garden to, say, a mid-tail publisher who's distributing content across all the leading destinations and fast. They needed to be able to, make sure that I'm in the right place at the right time in the way the advertiser wants to buy me. And then the scale issue is just a persistent issue, right? And it's one that our solution to it is allowing a framework for publisher collaboration, allow publishers to easily work together in packaging and bundling inventory to achieve that scale. So it is both a tech solution as well as a framework for this publisher collaboration.
Right. And we're talking, of course, about One Audience Alliance. Can you maybe tell a story about how that came about and where you see that going this year? What's the drive?
Yeah. So One Audience Alliance is it's really exciting. One, because it is unique in this space in that the idea of publishers working together, it's been happening, sporadically, somewhat ad hoc. However, there was not a unifying tech layer that allowed for this to happen at scale. So this actually came to us from several of our publisher clients that we're working with already, who said, you know what, we need a mechanism that allows us to work with other publishers in a really seamless way. So that's what One Audience.
Not like an ad network of old. It's more than that, right?
Not at all. So when we look at ad networks, oftentimes they're fraught with lack of transparency. Sometimes you had IVT issues, resellers as a part of that, right? This is allowing direct publisher collaboration, full transparency, full control over pricing, allowing for the execution of varying strategies, but it's a framework for that.